Welcome to Half Century Hangout. Real conversations, honest laughs, and growth for every season of life. There's a moment that most people don't talk about. It's not the beginning where everything feels exciting, and it's not the breakthrough where everything feels like it finally clicks. It's that middle ground. That long stretch where you're showing up, you're doing the right things, you're trying to grow, and it doesn't feel like much is really changing. And if you're honest, you start wondering, is this even working? I've had that feeling more times than I can count. As a coach, as a leader, as a husband, as a dad, there are seasons where you expect growth to feel obvious. Like you'll see it, you'll feel it, you can measure it. But instead, it feels slow, quiet, almost invisible. And that's where a lot of people tend to quit. Not because they don't care, not because they're incapable, but because growth didn't look like they thought it would. And here's the tension. We expect growth to feel like a breakthrough, a big moment, a clear change, a turning point. We can point and say, that's when everything shifted. But most of the time, growth looks like showing up again, making one better decision, responding a little differently than you used to, staying when you used to leave, speaking when you used to stay quiet. And it's subtle, so subtle that if you're not careful, you'll miss it. I was thinking about this the other day, and I can already hear how this would play out if Luke and John were sitting here with me. Luke would probably slow this down and say something like, the hardest part is that slow growth doesn't feel like growth. It just feels like effort. And he's right, because emotionally we want confirmation. We want to feel like it's working. And John would probably jump in and make it really practical. He'd probably say something like, yeah, but if you actually looked at your life 6 months ago, you'd see you're not the same. And that's the thing. Growth is often only obvious in retrospect, not in the moment. Here's where people get stuck. They misinterpret slow growth as failure, stagnation, lack of progress, or worse, maybe this just isn't for me. And that misinterpretation leads to one of two things. Number one, they quit too early. Or number two, they start chasing something new that feels faster. I know that from personal experience. But what they don't realize is this. The slow seasons are often where the deepest growth is happening. Think about it. Roots don't grow above ground. You don't see them. You don't measure them daily. But they're what holds everything together later. Now, this shows up differently depending on where you are. If you're in formation, you might feel like you don't know enough. You're not progressing fast enough. Everyone else is ahead. But what's actually happening? You're building foundations, and foundations are supposed to be slow. If you're in pressure, you might feel like, you're carrying a lot. You're tired. You're just trying to keep up. And growth here doesn't feel like progress. It feels like survival. But survival with responsibility, that's growth. If you're in perspective, you might feel like you should be further along. You're behind where you thought you'd be. Time is running out. But here's the truth. You're not late. You're refining. And refinement takes time. And if you don't hear anything else today, hear this. Stop measuring growth by how big it feels. Start measuring it by how consistent you are. Because consistency compounds. You don't become a different person overnight. You become a different person by repeating the right things over a long period of time when no one else is watching. Let me slow this down and give you a few questions. Don't rush these questions. Ask yourself, where in my life am I expecting fast growth? And why? Number two, what small progress have I overlooked? What's actually different about me, even if it feels small? Number three, where am I tempted to quit simply because it's slow? Number four, What would it look like to stay consistent over the next 30 days? These questions matter because they help you see what you've been missing. Let's make this actionable. Name one area of slow growth. Pick one. Maybe it's work, relationships, personal discipline, your faith, your leadership. Pick just one. Define some small wins. What does progress look like in that area? Not big ones, small ones. For example, showing up on time, having one honest conversation, saying no when needed, staying patient one more time. And then number 3, track consistency, not outcomes. So for the next 2 to 4 weeks, don't ask, is this working? Ask, am I showing up? And then number 4, don't restart, continue. Now this is big. A lot of people restart every single week. Don't restart, just continue. Then number 5, probably the most important, tell someone. Growth accelerates when it's not hidden. Tell someone, here's what I'm working on. Hold me accountable to this. Check on me from time to time when it comes to this particular area of my life. You got to tell someone or it never happened. Let's bring this back to where we started, that middle space, where it feels slow, where it feels unclear, where it feels like not much is happening. What if that's not a bad place? What if that's actually the place where discipline's being built, character is being shaped, and a long-term growth is taking root? And one day, you'll look back and realize that's where everything changed. Not in a moment, but in a season. All right, let's land this the right way. If we were all sitting around the table right now, some local spot, nothing fancy, just talking life the way it actually is, I think Luke would probably lean back and say, I think we underestimate how much we're actually growing. And John would probably laugh and say, yeah, or we just don't give it enough time to show up. And honestly, they'd both be right. So wherever you are right now, if it feels slow, if it feels small, if it feels like not much is happening, don't miss it, because growth might be happening right under the surface. No matter where you are in life, no matter what season you're walking through, growth is still possible. This is Half Century Hangout, growth for every season of life. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Half Century Hangout. Keep growing, keep showing up, and we'll see you next time.